You got this, and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but it's not limited to, Berkey. What's poppin', baby? How you feeling today?
Oh, you know, I'm rested. Good.
You're gonna need your rest for this episode.
Yeah. Today's a doozy for sure. We got a lot to talk about. WSOP, WPT, all things in the middle. I skipped playing today for this one.
Oh yeah,
You really did.
I mean, it wasn't really for this one. It was I couldn't sleep. I didn't fall asleep till like 3:30.
that means you had
You were
plenty
drafting
of
on
time.
Magic the Gathering Arena?
Yes, I was deep in the Magic the Gathering.
Hell yeah, brother.
I don't even get what you're talking about. You had plenty of time to sleep. You could have slept till what? 8:30 in the morning?
No.
7:30?
Not if we did the podcast.
That's 'cause
Oh yeah,
Conrad's brain-
7:30. So 4 hours is fine.
Your brain,
Right.
Conrad's brain is mush. So if you want mushy brain, you sleep for 4 hours.
Smooth brain.
Yeah.
My brain, no mush.
No wrinkles.
Conrad's
Wrinkle-free.
No
Yeah,
mush.
Conrad's a koala.
Yeah, koala rat.
Well, just because I don't need sleep.
Conrad in the rain.
I think koalas sleep a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all they do. They can't. They don't have
They
the
don't have
thinky
enough
parts.
energy. Yeah.
They don't have the thinky parts. The eucalyptus is like the least nutritious thing on the entire planet. They'd be like better served eating styrofoam.
Wait, so they sleep nonstop.
Pretty much, yeah. I think it's like 20 hours a day.
And then I'm
Like,
the opposite.
that sounds
because the
amazing.
brain
That's what I
doesn't
said.
stop.
I said Conrad's not a koala because he only sleeps for 4 hours.
the brain
Right,
never
right,
stops.
right.
You
But
know?
he still has a smooth brain.
Yeah, he's smooth brain like the koala, but he doesn't have the benefits of sleeping like the
You
koala.
guys wish.
Have
The
you
difference?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like the difference in my day from when I get like 5 hours of sleep compared to 8 hours of sleep.
Insane.
It's like night and day.
Yeah,
How
I'm
do you
not
only
20
get-
anymore.
How do you only
I
get
can't.
5 hours?
What?
How do you only get 5 hours?
Well, sometimes you're up until like
11.
11, and then you get up at 4.
You get up at 4?
No, I don't. I get up.
Oh,
I get up at
Landon.
6:30, but sometimes I'll wake up at like 5
Yeah.
and can't fall back asleep. So it's like if I fall asleep at midnight,
Like
It's that
math is-
large prostate, you know. It's got you go to the bathroom.
It's not that. It really isn't. It's probably.
It's like the math isn't mathing. How you only
Yeah.
get 5 hours of sleep? You're going to bed at 12 even.
So I don't know, but
You
like
waking up at 5 a.m.?
yeah. Sometimes I'll wake up at 5. I'll lay in bed, but like I can't fall back asleep. So then it's like, all right, I got my 5 hours. It's gonna be a rough day.
Man, I
Yeah.
can't even lay
gonna
back
be
in bed.
But-
I can't even like try
yeah.
to go back to sleep. I'm like, fuck this shit.
Right.
Let's get up and do something.
Right, but if I'm like sleeping by 10 and then up at 6:30,
What do
we're
you
ready to
do?
fucking go.
What do you do?
We'll figure it out.
What do you say that you do here?
Have you ever seen the Nature Channel on YouTube where the guy who narrates it sounds like Morgan Freeman? Like he impersonates Morgan Freeman the entire time.
No, but it sounds amazing.
There's an episode on koalas, and it ends in this song called "Koala in the Rain." It's fucking remarkable.
Can we
for
play
everybody
it?
who
Or is it going to...
I don't know. It probably will demonetize us because it's a big channel.
You're up so much money, we can lose $30 on
I
this
don't
episode.
think so. I think you guys are gonna have to go check it out yourself. Just Google koalas
Can you
in the
sing
rain.
it for us?
Koalas in the rain. It's kind of like
You got to keep going. What the hell,
No,
man?
I don't know all the lyrics.
You just got to keep saying koalas in the rain.
But there's two.
Koala rain.
There's
Some stay dry and others feel the pain. Koala rain.
there's two episodes that are must see.
We are the same.
The koala one is absolutely must see. Like he does it with humor, obviously, because he's memeing Morgan Freeman the whole time. But he actually spits a lot of facts, and so you learn about the koalas being smooth-brained. He's like, they're born without the thinky parts, and
Some people are too.
you learn about like their diet, which they eucalyptus, which is literally it's nothing.
You could eat 10 pounds of it and get
Right.
like 6 calories.
They have like 87 stomachs in order to digest this eucalyptus. Like it's been evolved to be
Right.
the most useless creature on the planet.
It's so cute.
All it does is sit in so there's an image of them just like sitting in a eucalyptus tree sleeping in the rain, like in the pouring rain, not giving a fuck.
They're like sloths in a way.
Kind of, yeah. And then like the babies aren't formed enough. They don't have enough stomachs to actually digest eucalyptus on their own, so they fecal pop.
Oh.
If you want to know what that is, it's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's the digested
eucalyptus from the poopy.
that never had any nutritionist value, now coming out as
Slightly
bile.
less.
Right.
It makes me kind of believe that the karmic system might be real, and if you're
Right.
really bad, you turn into a koala.
Yeah. You look so lovable, but you're so goddamn stupid.
Right, and you're so...
It's kind of like dating on the apps in Vegas. You know?
A lot of koalas out
A lot
there.
of koalas out there. A lot of koalas. They look so lovable and pretty, but God, they're dumb.
Man, Berkey.
You should take him to the zoo.
Can't. That is a fantastic reference that no one is going to get from me and Lamanna.
Oh, Rocky's the best.
Take him to the zoo. What do you mean? Go back and watch that quote.
It's so brutal when I don't know a reference.
It's really bad too because like you can't use the language anymore. It's 80s language,
Right.
but we are kind of back.
Yeah, we are kind of back.
We are in Trump's America. You might be able to replay that Rocky clip.
Right.
Anyway,
And we dick
Not in WSOP's America.
not in WSB's America. Hell no, brother. We ain't standing for any of this. We do have a lot to talk about, jokes aside, although they'll fly today, I'm sure, as well. WPT has played down to its day 4. I think there are 61 people left. Oh, so we nailed it. I nailed it. If we're
You said
really
50.
no, Jesse.
Me and you
Jesse
worked it out.
said I think you're right, Brian. You know what?
My second
We'll
guess
team
was
up here.
60.
Your
My second guess
What
was
did he say?
60.
120?
120.
I went 120 and then I
Yeah.
went 60.
Yeah. You nailed it. You're right, Conrad. You're the fucking. You're the orbiter of all things that.
Well, I
He's off
mean,
by a factor
if
of
you
2.
moved your guess, fucking,
I
I
didn't
could move
move mine.
mine.
I
Yes,
didn't move mine.
it was 50.
Jesse said 50.
No, it was 50. You
Okay.
said.
Go back,
Dude,
check
it's
the tape.
closer
I'm not
than
going to.
120.
It doesn't
Way
matter.
closer to 120.
61 people returned. Michael
Right.
Burke chip leading. Let's go, Michael Burke.
The namesake. He's out here
Yep.
doing the damn thing.
Frank Lagadish in the mix.
Every time that he chip leads a tournament and we cover
Fabian.
it, I'm going to remind everyone that he knit rolled me over the summer with 2 kings in a bounty tournament.
What do you mean?
Burke on Burke violence.
I jammed, and he asked me for a count when he covered me by a lot with no action pending.
Was he was slow rolling you?
I thought so, and he said no.
Maybe he didn't look at his hand yet.
No, he looked. He had 2 kings. There's a video of it. Poker Org got it.
Someone's gotta tell Joe's
He
off.
apologized. he just like froze. Wait, why Joe's off?
Yeah, they're boys.
Oh.
Gotta talk to Joe's.
No, I know Michael. It's not like we're strangers.
No, I know.
Well, I'm
It's just
saying I
like-
don't need to go to an intermediary. I can just go through him.
It's like, what the hell, man?
No,
Why would you do that?
I did. I memed on him for it, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like I just, it was just a reaction.
When Landon doesn't like what somebody did,
I king high, by the way.
when Landon doesn't like what somebody does at the table, he goes to their best friend and asks him, "What
Right.
the fuck, man? Like, why did your friend do this to me?"
Yeah.
Not to me. Just
He's
saying.
probably been so used to fielding questions about me that he just thinks that's the natural order of things.
It's true. It's like, why does Matt do that?
That's Conrad every day. He's
and me
like,
both,
so and so doesn't like what you said on the podcast. It's like, all right, man. Well, tell him to shoot me a fucking DM. I don't know.
I just laugh.
Slide in.
Speak to my assistant being the Twitter DM box.
Quite honestly, I would never say it, but it's just funny in passing.
Which part?
All of them.
Okay.
What's the joke?
What's the joke? Let me in on it.
What?
The funny part.
So we're down to the final 61. The top 10 looking pretty stout. You got
Pray for
Burke,
bro.
Burke
Fabian.
leading it. Fabian's in 3rd.
Let's go, Fabian.
Makita in 7th. Scott Stewart in 8th.
Makita making the most out of that free money.
Oh, yeah. I understand why he flew back now.
Listen,
bad
when you know
man.
you're going to win a 10K,
Right.
you come to the other place to play the 10K.
Yeah, you come prepared. Isaac Barron, OG legend, out there, number 13. Alex Queen, former
Alex
final
Queen.
tableist with Landon this past April. I guess
Absolute
May.
legend, Alex Queen.
He is a legend.
That queen is
He's
a
an
king.
East Coast legend. You don't even know.
He is.
Michael
Volpe's still in
Peroni.
there. Morbin's still in there.
Mormon's trying to go back to back.
I mean, granted, I did have like 6 or 7 starting tables over the 3 days, but a lot of guys that I played with in my brief stint in this tournament are still in.
Did you give them all
Rosito.
your chips?
Look, Matt, you had to walk so they could run.
That's right. Indirectly,
Salute.
I somehow will have lost chips to the winner of this tournament. Actually, probably directly.
Which means you would have won the
indirectly.
tournament if you didn't lose them to them.
Yeah, that's boy math.
I mean,
Right there.
basically, either you look at it, you can pick one of two ways. Last week, you've either won the prime or you got third place in the 10K. You get to choose.
Okay. Well, I don't care. I get a million.
That's what you've done.
I get a million either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't care then.
That's what happened.
Yeah. I had more fun doing it my way. God, imagine the stress of being deep in a
Maybe
tournament.
that's why you couldn't sleep last night.
Why, I've been winning too much?
Yeah.
Sleeping on
That's
money.
the thing.
I did have a big day yesterday. You know what? That's twice in the last 10 days that I haven't been able to sleep, and 2 of them have been off 2 of my bigger wins.
That's because you got to stop playing that app game,
Should
man.
you take a
I
knee
know.
for the next 12 days so you can just finish the year
You
like
gotta take a
super
knee.
strong?
No, me sitting out today is insane. Like,
Bro, take a fucking
me
knee.
having seats when there's this much action in town is so rare.
Look, he should not take a knee. He's won enough. He
Bro.
should keep winning.
Yeah,
No knee taking here.
no knee
All
taking.
right.
Can't take a knee. At
No
this
knee
point.
taking.
Right.
But it looks like they're gonna play down to, I assume, the final 6 today. This is
Final 6.
Is that not true?
That seems like a lot.
Is it a 6-day event or a 5-day?
Good question.
Great
I
question.
thought that we were saying yesterday that they were going to play down to whatever they were, and then
I think they would go to final 2 tables and then they play down to 6.
and then
And then they do
Right.
it out.
Making it 6-day.
Yeah.
That would
event?
make
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
Because
just so it's not like dragged, like this day is not dragged way out, and
I mean, at the
and
very
then have to play a final table tomorrow.
at the very least, like
When's
yeah.
the 21st?
The 21st is
That is 2 days from now.
Okay.
Saturday.
6-day event then.
right.
yeah,
So they play down
they'll
to
probably
final
play
2
down
tables.
to 18 today.
Mhm.
61 down to 18, and then 18
16
down.
probably because it 8 handed.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Which is honestly, I do like the fact that it's 9-handed day 1 and then 8-handed day 2. Obviously, like you'd want it 8-handed the whole way through, but there's so many people. So 9 and then 8 is really nice.
I like that. Yeah.
It works.
So they'll then play 16 down to 8 tomorrow. Maybe it's not going to be like officially 16. They might just play 5 levels. That would make more sense. 5 levels or 16, whichever happens first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably- that's what they've been doing, right?
Yeah.
5 levels.
I
and then
think
I
so,
would
yeah.
say that, and then they stream the final table, and it's not down like to
Well, they're
6,
streaming the
'cause-
whole time.
Right.
So they have a feature table anyway.
Yeah.
That's how we got inside the mind of Bling.
Right. So then they might play down to 6, and then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what they did last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. I talked to Ling Ling yesterday, and I was
Is she still in or no?
no, she's expired.
You know why?
She passed away.
You know
Because
why?
I sent her a text. Yeah,
What'd you say?
I sent her a
Good
text the day before, not yesterday. The day, not the day she busted. The day before she busted. I sent her a text and I said, "Good luck today. If the worst comes to worst, we have a seat for you." And she goes, "Don't send me those texts. I'm superstitious."
Oh God.
I was
Fucking
like, all right.
Berkey.
So of course, when she busts out 350 people later, she's
Your
like, "It's
fault.
because you text me."
Yeah.
Not because of the decisions that I've made.
I get it.
I can't believe you fucking texted her.
I know. It's
She
Yeah.
could have
a
got
seat
second
for
and
her.
been like, I would have won this thing if you didn't text me.
No.
It'd be $2 million richer if you didn't
You're right.
fucking text her.
You're right.
How
I
much?
asked her about the King 3 hand, and she was like, "That was just payback because he made me fold 10s."
That's how it works, dude. It's just like trading blows. You know, Chino got one over on her.
Uh-huh.
She's got to get one back.
That's right.
That's how the fight goes.
Respect to the OGs.
Yeah.
They're just out there slinging it in the arena.
Yeah, you don't just think you're gonna throw a punch at Ling Ling and she's not gonna throw one back.
That's facts.
Or 4.
that is facts. So yeah, it looks like we're gonna have 2 more days to sweat this. We'll probably have a winner to report next Monday since the actual final table will be on Saturday. But should be an exciting final 2 days as they play down. Speaking of a lot of goats in the ring, the final table has been reached at the WSOP 25K super main event. 6 million up top, and a lot of names that we recognize here. Adamo leading the way, 196 million, about 25% more chips than second place. Christopher Nguyen, don't know him. I'm not familiar. I think I looked and he only has like 20K earnings. Yeah, lifetime earnings, 21,000.
That's sick.
Might be a Sadie winner here.
Might be a legend.
Yeah, might
could
also
be a legend.
Might also be an online legend.
Might be a Sven.
Oh, actually, we have updates. I just refreshed.
Yeah.
So Adamo is no longer chip leading. Mustafa is now taking over the lead.
Mustachio.
The Italian stallion. He's out there in the mix, rocking the mustache, taking over the lead. Adamo is now second. Yin Zhao is third. Chris Wynn has slipped to fourth. Marcello Aziz is fifth. Now, if you guys are not familiar with that name, it's for good reason. He won his way in via free roll.
Okay.
Wow.
And he's also the one, if you guys recall, which I don't think we showed the hand, but he played a hand blind versus Liv, where she flopped a 6, I believe, on a queen 6 low board, be blind versus blind in a limp pot. He check raised her. She called. Turn, I think, was a king or a jack. I think it was a king. And I think it went check on the turn. Yeah, so it was a king. Oh, she had a 7, not a 6. Sorry. So he actually does barrel through on the turn. And then the river's a jack, completing ace 10 for a straight or 9-10. He fires a third shell. And she hero calls, putting him on some sort of bluff, be it a hand like 5-6, 8-9. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot. You have to be pretty creative with your bluffs here. I guess a deuce would be a
check
good
raise
one.
Bottom pair, right?
I wouldn't think, but I'm just trying to figure out where he'd be pulling from, given this run out.
Man, yeah, you'd have to find some
I guess
absurd.
you want to have a 10, but it would be like 10-8, 10-9, I guess, that you had to have check raised.
It'd have to be like 6-8 of clubs or something, like flush draw that you pick up.
Yeah. Anyway, Liv makes a hero call, reading that he's bluffing, which I think he was by the end of it all. And she's like, this is wild. Like, I thought you were bluffing. Were you value betting? And he kind of just shrugs. And in the comments, they're like, this is the most Brazilian hand of all time.
This is extremely Vamo Brazil.
Yeah.
Pocket tens.
Look at his face. He goes, oh, you called with worse. Look at that. How is that ever possible?
You thought you were bluffing.
Man, Liv is shredded.
That bicep is
She
shit.
really is
God
jacked.
damn. She is in such good
What
shape.
just happened?
She rounds out the
What's going
final
on?
6 at this final table. They both made it.
Oh, there's 6 left now?
There are 6 left. She's now 6 of 6. We've unfortunately lost George Lehman in 9th place. Vadaz, I mean, I should be happy busted because I can't pronounce this fucking name. Vadaz.
Not gonna work here anymore.
Lipaka. Okay, that name.
Vadim Lipuka.
Sure. Vadim, I like that. And then Bonomo, the man who all the controversy is currently circling around, has busted in 7th place. He came in 8 of 9, so the expectations weren't super high. And we're obviously not sweating the stream right now, but we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about with regards to the presence that he made coming into that final table and all of the controversy that surrounds both he as a player and as a political activist, I suppose. But before we jump to all of that mess, I guess let's talk about how we got here. So if you guys recall, Helmuth was the big bubble boy, getting them into the money. Chris Moneymaker made a deep run himself and then ultimately became the bubble boy of the final 9, getting it in 9s versus Liv's Jacks. We can go ahead and roll that clip. Just let it fly with the commentary.
What a bunch of legends.
He's a 4-to-1 dog. 1 foot out the door. Suits are covered as well.
We need a 9. We got 9s versus jacks.
But this is going to be a tall ask. It's an 8-6 deuce board develops. Backdoor straight a possibility. Liv in her familiar all-in pose. Trying to keep herself grounded, centered. Keep the emotions in check. 5 on the turn, Henry. It's never easy. Pop on the river. Big celebration, not from Liv though.
Game, please. It's a pleasure playing with you.
From the others, as they all recognize they have reached the final table of the WSOP Super Main.
We love you.
All right.
At the expense of Chris Moneymaker.
That was a cool hand and all, but more importantly, we have to discuss the fact that there can't be two Henrys at the same time.
Yeah, you can't have two posh Brits in the booth. It sounded like Henry and AI Henry.
It's so good.
It was actually like pretty
They
wonderful.
ran out of people, so they asked Henry to have two voices.
Right.
That's pretty sick.
Imagine he's just in there just like throwing his voice. He's like, oh, 9 on the river.
Do you think he changes chairs each time and mics? Like he
No.
You
It's
don't
got to
think
be
he goes
same
back
mic
and forth?
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Moneymaker earned $500,000 for his deep run. You know, I have to say,
Shout
like,
out to Moneymaker.
I give Chris a lot of shit.
Man.
He's the best.
He's a jovial guy who throws it and takes it as much as anybody else. But like,
He had a great year.
yeah, if you kind of look, like he's done really well in big field events.
He fucks, man.
He's he went deep. Did he go deep in the PSPC also when we were down there?
I don't know.
Might have.
I can't recall, but he's made like a handful of deep runs. I think he went deep in the Venom, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. He
Final
final
table.
tabled
Yeah,
it.
final table the Venom. Now he bubbles the final table here of, man, imagine he just wins the super main event
That would be
to cap off a 20-year run,
Right.
21-year run, whatever. That would be pretty fucking wild.
Chris has won 1.2 million. No, sorry, 2 million this year.
Wait.
That's great.
And then 2.2 million last year.
Yeah, that's pretty
Did he
sharp.
4 million. I mean,
Did he win a Triton or he got?
He did win a Triton.
Yeah.
He did,
right?
yeah.
I mean, the impressive part is that he has 2.5 million as his biggest cash, and then he has another 8 point or whatever.
I mean, if you,
Five
go to,
Math. Don't do math on air.
if you scroll down and go to stats, you can see like the year over year. So he hasn't been doing much for a while, and then 2023 and beyond is the
He
moneymaker
got back
resurgence.
in.
Look at this.
He's back in.
That's when he started playing again, right? It looks like he didn't play
Yeah.
for a while.
We are
Right now is the Moneymaker era.
It's
Right.
moneymaker. He's trying to bring it back.
That's right.
And
He's
we
bringing it
salute you
back.
for it.
That's
We
when he
do.
signed with ACR, probably.
Yeah. No, that was when we were at the Bahamas.
2023 was Bahamas, so this was before.
Yeah.
Wait, we didn't go 2023.
Sorry, 2022 was
We
Bahamas.
went 2022.
Nagy's
And
coaching
He had
him.
signed already.
Hey man,
Yeah. Maybe Nagy got him.
you
in
like
the-
learning poker, don't
in the
you?
lab. So for his score, his efforts, he got 500,000. Everybody's now guaranteed 1.6 million. As we mentioned, Liv is now 6 of 6. This is, I mean, I'm kind of sad we're not going to get to watch the stream. This is going to be pretty high level poker. I can't really tell how deep everybody is by looking at the chip counts, but Adamo's basically going wire to wire. I mean, it seems like he held the chip lead every stage of the way in the final
Chris from the
updates. We got Henry back. Henry, are you with us? Mate, what's going on down there? So, you know, I don't know that this has the same feel as the actual WSOP main event. Well, like when you think about it, it's comparable money.
How much is up top again?
6 million flat. Oh, there is something that I did want to mention about this that we kind of overlooked yesterday. So they were a $500,000 shy of hitting the 50 million guarantee or whatever the case may be, but they did something very sneaky that I didn't catch, but was pointed out to me, that I assure you, if WPT had done the same last year when they were running their big guarantee, they would have been strung up by their pinky toes. They guaranteed 50 million, but they took the staffing fee out of the prize pool on the guarantee side. So when they overlay, there's 1.5 missing anyway.
Oh.
So the actual prize pool available was only ever going to be 48.5 million.
Unless they went over.
Unless they go over.
Right, but if there was ever an overlay, it was only going to be 48.5.
Right, so actually no one got an overlay at all.
No.
They just had to come out of pocket.
This was the Brock
500K. What's that?
This was the Brock tweet.
Yeah. So they came out of pocket 500K to the admin fees, but nothing was given back to
Everyone
the actual
paid
prize.
rake, just like they would have.
Correct. Yeah.
Full rake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Shout
wild.
out to my boy Patrick thinking they were going to remove the admin fees.
That's funny.
You remember that? He was
I
like,
do remember
I think
that.
that if anything, the fees
Look,
have increased.
Him wanting to be optimistic that the two largest operators in all of poker collaborating together could somehow be better for the player pool as a whole is a very reasonable stance.
Well,
That's good.
Well, it's an optimistic stance.
Wait, can we scroll down to the replies? I want to see this. No, click under the Brock Wilson second one, because he pinged Norm, and then Norm goes, "Not sure what you're talking about." Not that one. Scroll up, like return. I want to see if he responded. So you see where it says Norman chat saying, not sure what you're asking me. Yeah. And he's saying, I'm asking what your opinion is on WSOP adding more time to re-enter. And it says, maybe they added more time to re-enter last minute because traffic was backed up. I'm never happy when an event is changed after it's stated. Okay. So yeah, so Norm's not happy about it. That's fair.
Right. But I think Brock's point here is so much was made of Maria re-entering and winning an online bracelet. Like, so much was made of it. Now they run an unlimited re-entry 25K.
Extra level
Call
flight.
it the Ultra Giga Mega Master main event.
Mega Master.
And miss the guarantee, so they add and extend registration. All things that Norman is like vehemently against, and he doesn't say a peep.
Yeah.
And it's not even consistent with like branding because he spoke out against WSOP online. It's just, maybe he slept this one. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a strong one to sleep after being so awake for the Maria bracelet.
It's very weird looking at like a 2 re-entry event online and getting upset that Maria wins $70,000 in a bracelet and then just like totally ignoring an unlimited 25K that somebody fired 9 times, that D-Negs fired 3 online flights of alone. You know what I mean? It's like anybody who wins this outside of the qualifiers, which there may be 2 or 3 at this final table, there's almost certainly in for multiple.
Well, he's
bullets.
He's waiting to see if the person who wins it only fired 1 bullet.
Right.
He'll be silent. But
because
somebody else fires multiple, I'm sure he'll be just tweeting away.
Right, because if the guy who gets second place for $4 million fired 8,
right?
That doesn't really,
no, it doesn't matter.
That doesn't really matter as long as the guy who won it.
Right, because it's all about the bracelet.
Right.
What a world.
Well, it's all about some things.
What a world we live in.
Speaking of that bracelet, I wonder if there's a little bit more tarnish on it after what occurred yesterday. Now, I want to start this by kind of like laying the landscape a bit, and you guys are free to chime in with your opinions as you see fit. Don't mind me if I play devil's advocate here and there. But I kind of want to have just a reasonable, open discussion about this. And I understand it's insulated to just the 5 of us. We're not bringing in anybody from the Middle East or where the conflict lies. We're not bringing any representatives from WSOP or WPT or any other operators into this. This is just an in-house water cooler talk amongst people in the community, and hopefully we hit some key points that you guys agree or disagree on. But I'm going to piss some people off right out of the gate.
Yeah, if you're trying to calm down the comment section, it's not going to happen.
Well, I
do your best.
I'm going for the compliment sandwich here, okay? Now you get the meat. I'm going to piss you guys off really bad right out of the gate.
You started with koalas to keep you here. You were excited. You were happy.
Right. Yeah.
Now you're going to be sad.
Now you get the meat of the sandwich. All right, look. WSOP is 100% well within their rights and correct to threaten disqualification to Bonomo if he doesn't abide by what they deem to be appropriate for a televised event. Period. End of sentence. That's it. There's nothing more to say about that specific aspect of this. No one in their right mind should be debating whether or not WSOP is overstepping some sort of legality, because they're not.
Because they're a private entity.
They're a private entity. You sign your rights away the second you enter the event. You agree to their terms and conditions. There's very loose language in there that clearly states they are able to, threaten disqualification for any number of reasons, but your wardrobe is certainly one of them. And this precedent was set when 2014, I believe it was, and an EPT stop where Stars was forced to change their policy after Olivier and Coleman both final tabled a high roller wearing a Save Gaza, Free Palestine shirt. So this isn't like totally unprecedented. It's well within the company's right to do so, and it certainly comes from a place, or at least it should come from a place, and I believe that this was what Stars had in mind when they implemented the language change of being totally apolitical.
Yeah.
In a public sphere, not allowing people to leverage your platform to push a political agenda. I think all of that is very on par with like running a good operation. It's very much in line with businesses being concerned with advertisers, businesses being concerned with their own bottom line. Go ahead.
So this right here is what you agree to when you play a tournament.
Correct.
And we're looking at
I think specifically, if you look at the very last paragraph,
host properties reserve the right at all times to impose a ban on any apparel deemed objectionable by host properties in its sole and absolute discretion. Host properties reserve the right to refuse entry or continue participation to any participant who does not comply with the aforementioned apparel rules.
Right. And it's
so they wrote this.
It's written ambiguously enough where, like, you know,
where they can interpret whatever they want.
Yeah, you could be wearing a black T-shirt and they could just say, like,
sorry, that's not allowed.
Sorry, that's aligned to the Black Panthers. Like, you're out.
In comparison, it's like we don't speak about politics on any podcast, or like it's probably just like a good thing not to speak about politics. Generally.
I mean, look, we definitely dip our toes in, but we try to
fuck
remain
around.
Look,
sometimes I'm
very sure that some portion of our audience thinks that I'm a liberal cuck, and another portion of our audience thinks that I'm a MAGA-loving, hardcore right. And
sounds like you're doing great then.
That's probably fine. Just being objectively polarizing to the masses means that they just don't know.
I mean, speaking of MAGA.
Yeah, so this was Lauren Klein back in 2019. He made his rounds. He had a banner year that year and has a ton of winter photos with him wearing a MAGA hat. He was on production with this, et cetera, et cetera. So there's other precedent set where this was not policed. However, bear in mind that at the time, the WSOP licensing was run and operated by PokerGo. So that was their call.
But it's still their brand, so I'm having trouble understanding.
They sign their brand away to whoever buys the license.
Okay.
WSOP has no care in the world what GG does with their events.
Okay.
They're just there to staff them and run them. So this is ultimately a GG call.
So had this MAGA hat been in place of what Justin was wearing, you think they would have said something?
I do not.
What about this? What about if it was a yarmulke?
Again, I do not.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion.
You don't think they would have said anything?
I do not. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I can't speak for them.
That's your opinion, man.
Like it's well within the framework of what they have written for them to ask people to remove those items.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I don't think anybody's going to ask. I don't think if we saw a deep run by Ketchlov, they're going to ask him to remove like Ukrainian flag from his T-shirt or something like that.
Do we know the meaning behind the scarf?
I actually did a little bit of research. I think it first started off as it was to protect against the elements. Farmers were using this. And then after World War I, after they were occupied, it became a symbol of resistance. That's what I looked up anyway.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know the actual deep history of it. I just know that it's a very common garment in Muslim culture and Arabic culture.
Yeah, sorry
so
for
it's
calling
like
it a scarf.
Well, it's a headdress. I mean, you can call it a million different things. I thought it was a shawl as of yesterday.
I'm looking at it, and it says it's a headdress worn by men from parts of the Middle East, fashioned from a square scarf. So it's usually made of cotton, found in arid regions, provides protection from sunburn, dust, and sand.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that, like, it's just a major...
It definitely has symbolism. Let's not... I don't think we should skirt around that. I mean, it definitely has some symbolic
well, we're not skirting around it. I don't think that's fair. So we're delving into... You guys are fast forwarding a lot. Anyway, it's okay. I don't think that's fair to apply symbolism to things like this because the Venn diagram overlap of like terrorists that wear a headdress versus like Arabics and Muslims that wear a headdress is very, very, very narrow. It'd be like saying, oh, you have a blue do-rag on, you must be in the Crips. Or, oh, look at that guy wearing a wife beater, he must be abusive. Like these articles of clothing are associated with some sort of negative connotation, but like only in a tiny little fraction, right? People didn't stop wearing the A undershirt just because there was this like association to a guy in a trailer park with beer stains beating his wife.
Yeah.
It's literally called a wife beater as a nickname, but like a high percentage of men own those. You know, we weren't turned off because of the name, And certainly, if you showed up in public, people wouldn't apply a connotation to you. This is like xenophobia at its fullest. We don't follow the Middle Eastern culture at all because we're so far removed. And I'm not implying that I know much, if anything, about their culture. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not educated enough. I'm not intelligent enough to be able to big brain what should happen to settle the conflict in the Middle East. I know that there is a conflict, and I know that there are two sides to this conflict, and that's it. And I don't care which side people fall on. I'm not picking either one. And that's how I feel a corporation should also operate.
Amen.
That's the problem that I'm having with this clear statement that is not against the Kifa. It's a clear statement against Bonomo, right? It didn't matter what Bonomo wore as symbolism for his protest against Israel. They were going to find a way to ensure that he was, as a human being, neutral as he was presentably neutral as possible once he was on camera. And truthfully, that's not up to them, in my opinion. Like, sure, I agree, and I led with this. I agree that the WSOP should not want their platform to be leveraged as a political amplifier. However, it cuts both ways. If you're going to promote Justin Bonomo as one of the main faces in your tournament, and you're going to promote him as a seasoned pro who's making a deep run in this main event, yada yada yada,
yeah.
right? It wants to watch. You don't get to then trample all over whatever subtle messaging he wants to lead with, right? Like, I'm a diehard Yinzer. And if somebody in the upper office hates Pittsburgh and they tell me to take off my black and gold, maybe it doesn't even have a logo on it. Maybe it's just simply, a black and gold outfit, and they tell me to take that off because it represents...
So you're Helmuth.
Right. They're from Cleveland. And they're just like, you know what? This represents hatred to me. Like, you got to take that. It's like, that is such a far overstep, in my opinion. And the reason I hold this opinion is not because, again, I think they're not within their rights. Of course they are. I hold this opinion because just days prior, they made a clear and loud statement that they were pro-Israel by running a tournament that was a fundraiser for the fallen soldiers of the IDF. So the families of the fallen soldiers of the IDF. And it's like, you could say that that's innocuous. That's like running a Wounded Warriors Project tournament, which they do here in America every summer. Mm-hmm. You could say that, like, oh, that's not a political statement. It's like,
Warriors.
Yes, it is.
Salute the Warriors, yeah.
The Salute the Warriors event is absolutely a political statement. That is absolutely the WSOP saying we support America, right? And that's okay because most of us are American, so we're all for it. When you also run a tournament that says we want to give some sort of charity to the fallen on the side of Israel, you're indirectly making a very loud and prominent statement that you're pro-Israel. And I don't know why a corporation would ever want to choose a side in something that is so riddled with conflict and so clearly divisive. But that's exactly what happens when you run that event. And a lot of people are playing logic bully where they're like, well, that event wasn't televised and this one is. So obviously they have to remain neutral so they can sell their product, where behind the scenes they can do whatever they want. And it's like, at the end of the day, WSOP can do whatever they want anyway. They're WSOP. GG can do whatever they want anyway because they're GG. But for those of us with a brain who are able to observe all of this, it's the inconsistency and the clear contradictory nature by which they're operating that's absolutely intolerable. And nobody with a logical brain could just sit back and watch and say, like, okay, so now they are, like, quietly supporting a side here and then very loudly telling somebody who's against that side that he needs to either conform or get out. That seems very problematic to me. I understand it's a private company. I understand that we support it by showing up and giving them our dollars, and we sign our lives away the second that we decide to enter the event. the notion that somebody wants to push back on that and that logical people in the community are kind of for Justin here, who, by the way, the vast majority of us do not agree with how radical he is in his takes. Waxman nailed it here. Like, he said, much respect to all the people who have been calling Bonomo an idiot over the last year and are now telling WSOP how dumb they are for that ruling. Unbiased, critical thinking seems to be a rare ability these days. And that just fucking nails it. Because here's the thing. He wasn't wearing a Palestinian flag. He wasn't like overtly supporting a side. He was very subtly wearing a headdress as a scarf that, if you hadn't pointed out to me, was a kafia.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
You didn't point out to me that it had some sort of representation to Palestine. I would have never known.
Like, oh, that's an interesting fashion choice.
I just wouldn't have even known. Like, he's not even wearing it the way it was meant to be worn. You know what I mean? He's wearing it literally. And like, where now do you draw the line? What if...
So,
good.
Efros just said in the comment, or in the chat, basically, that the difference between that and the yarmulke would be one is religious and one is a political statement. So the kifa is a political statement.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I did draw the parallels to those two in a comment because I was just trying to say, I was trying to make an oranges to oranges comparison of, something that represents a group and something that represents another group that are clearly at war with each other. So maybe a yarmulke is not the correct version, but wearing some representation of the Israeli flag.
Like a Star of David.
Yeah.
Star David, again, could be interpreted as religious, I think. And that might be like the big undercurrent of all of this, is that one side is like heavily religious and another side is kind of mixed between all kinds of religions. But nevertheless, like, regardless of what it is, I don't think this would have fairly been persecuted both ways. And like, where do you draw the line now? Because you set a very you're going down a very slippery slope, right? If Mustafa wants to wear the Italian flag, like, is that okay? You know what I mean? Like, we're okay with nationalism just so long as they're not at conflict. Is that the way that works?
That seems strange,
right? If Olga wants to show up decked out in Ukrainian garments, like, is that okay? Is that where we draw the line?
I'm guessing that would be okay, but if someone came in with something that had Russia on it, would not be okay.
It's funny, Dana.
Right, that's insane.
Right, of course.
That's just literally insane.
Right.
Because you're making...
It's like good versus bad.
You're doing the opposite of what they're trying to pretend to be doing here, which is remain apolitical.
Right.
Their statement, as they put it out, Chad Holloway posted it. Shout out to the work he's been doing. He's been all over this. They said the request for removal of Mr. Bonomo's Kafife once he reached the TV production table was simply a matter of broadcast clearance. Our future distribution platforms for Superman event do not allow garments deemed controversial or political in nature. And it's like, you're hiding behind the thing that gives you cause to support the side that you want. Because there's just no shot in hell they're asking somebody to remove a Ukraine pin from their lapel. I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. There's just no way they're asking someone to take a MAGA hat off. I know that everybody wants to give some grace here and believe that it's true, but there's just like way too many examples of that having not been the case in the past.
Right.
And also, what distribution channels, man? Where are these new distribution channels that were okay with Lauren Klein wearing a MAGA hat 5 years ago, but now suddenly don't want anybody wearing something that was just made in Palestine that you can never discern from something that your grandma knitted at home.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so inconsistent. I don't understand the argument here. And, we kind of like didn't really talk about it because I guess, as terrible as this may come off, it doesn't feel like my fight. But like, when the WSOP decided to run the tournament to benefit the IDF widows and orphans, I didn't say anything because, like, why would I? I don't care who they support. Like, I mean, I do care. This is slippery too, because like
Here we go.
I do care from a vantage point of logic. I don't care from a vantage point of supporting good causes, right? And I haven't vetted this cause. I don't know if it's a good cause or not. So it's not my place to really have a say, right? But now, like, full circle, it feels like it's kind of fueling the, and I hate to give him the victim attention that maybe he seeks, but this to me did feel like it was a very targeted, I don't want to say attack, but a very targeted decision against Bonomo specifically.
Exactly. I think you're right, because I was thinking this as well. Like, if it was just a random person,
That's
maybe
what I was going to go
a
with.
satellite winner or some unknown poker player,
and he's just wearing his traditional scarf.
That's what I said. If there was a
they
sheik,
wouldn't have said anything.
if there was a
just
sheik
some
in there,
random guy, maybe nothing.
if there was
noticed
an Arab sheik in there and he's just splashing around wearing his normal kaffifa, or are they just like, sorry, sir, I understand your culture and your wealth and stature at the other side of the world, but here in the Bahamas,
Can't
you're
do
gonna have to
that.
take that shit off.
Right.
It's like,
But with Bonomo, it comes, with a much bigger amplification of who he is. He's going to be on TV. Everyone knows his stance. And now, I guess, in WSOP's mind, they think that by them allowing him to do that they're endorsing it. I think maybe they're fearful that that's how it's going to come off, I don't think that should be how they should be looking at it.
Well,
Right.
I mean, they endorse one side in a way.
Right.
But the way we look at it now,
Yeah.
it's like they
they made
endorse
it very clear on what side they're on.
Yeah.
Right. By having this, like you said, they took the stance of we're gonna run this charity event, and then we're gonna ban Bonomo from wearing what he wants to, and so they obviously took a side.
They actually had a very good chance to play the middle, and just let Bonomo wear his keffa.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I think when we started this conversation, Matt, you talked about how they were a private company and they're certainly entitled to do whatever it is that they want to
They
do
are.
because
Right.
it's their company. Does that mean they're also allowed to be hypocritical?
of course,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah.
But it also means that we're allowed to criticize that.
Mhm.
Like, I think that's all this is. I think the uproar is just people criticizing the very
We're not
obvious.
saying where they can or can't do what they did. We're saying where they should.
You-
or
The
should
company
not
can do what it
they
wants,
did.
man.
Right.
It's a
Yeah,
company.
you
they
can-
make their own rules.
Yeah, you can run the charity event. You can kick Bonomo out. You could do all of these things, but they're going to be scrutinized.
Well, that's I guess when Conrad was saying they could have played the middle ground. I don't think they could when they have the charity event that they have going on.
Well,
too.
my point is
You can't middle ground when you support that side.
but I understand, but they kind of just yes, you're right.
Like, they made a choice.
But
Well, they made a
if they let
choice.
him
They
wear
made a
his-
choice, and then they amplified that choice by
Yes.
doing what they did to Bonomo. They could have
Right.
This made it even more that we are on one side and not on the other.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
right?
doubled down.
If they let him just wear his keffa, then it seems like there's not this huge conversation about it. And then it just seems like they ran a charity event for a good or cause that was brought to them, and they support.
Yeah, I mean, they
helping.
doubled down
I don't know.
on something in bad
That's
fashion.
probably wrong.
Well,
But,
all right. So I think there are a few things to unpack here that are really important. So first, how the event itself became organized, I think is really critical. So Robbie, who I'm a huge fan of, I think he does great work in the community. He seems like a very gentle soul, and that his heart is very much deeply aligned with Israel. He wrote an article, Robbie Straczynski, for those who don't know who I'm referencing. He wrote an article basically detailing how they came up with the decision to run the charity event. He said, in mid-July, I received a message from my friend Ori. He wanted to know if I'd be interested in collaborating with the Shalom Fund, a nonprofit he and his wife founded in Prague. Having done well for themselves in business, Ori and Anna now chose to devote their life to philanthropy. The fund, established in 2023, champions projects that make a tangible difference both in Israel and Jewish diaspora. Diaspora. Shalom's mission is clear, and this is important, I think. Shalom's mission is clear: to promote the security, prosperity, and peace of Israel and its people. And it's that's a great mission if you believe in that, but it's also very clearly biased. It's very clearly one-sided. It's very clear that when you are promoting the security, prosperity, and peace of Israel and its people, you are also clearly denouncing things that threaten those areas. And again, totally fine. You're welcome to run that charity. It very well could be an incredible cause. I'm not educated enough to know. But when you're a major platform and corporation like WSOP, aligning yourself with that certainly now puts you in the crosshairs of having some sort of affiliation or some sort of like signing off on one specific side, right? It goes on to say the first piece of this ambitious puzzle was securing the support of one of poker players' most recognizable names, Daniel Negreanu. Graciously, he agreed to be behind the idea. With the Poker Hall of Famer on board, the dominoes slowly began to fall. Fully on the down low, we engaged in extensive recruiting efforts. So again, like it strikes me as odd that in order to organize a charity event with, again, the largest platform in our community backing it, everything has to be done quietly. As to what? Not have any sort of political pushback from, your general community that you are now tasking with fulfilling this charity, right? Like, to me, if I'm an operator and I want to remain as apolitical as possible, first of all, I would never touch any of this stuff,
Right.
Whether it was for the Palestine or for Israel or for, relief in the Ukraine or support of Russia. I just would not in a million years touch this stuff. But if you did decide to touch this stuff, I think it becomes very clear that you should be crowdsourcing feedback before ever hitting the green light. There's no way I would be at the top of this corporation and say yeah, just keep it very hush until a few days before when we start to market the event. As to quiet the voices. And look, Bonomo is one extremely loud and amplified voice that doesn't really represent a wide collective by any stretch of the imagination. He's incredibly radical. He's very outspoken and very certain of his side and his stance, and it doesn't seem to be much middle ground or wiggle room there. And that is a problem for both people who oppose him and people who support his side. There have been many issues that he and I align on, and I find myself gravitating towards wanting to play devil's advocate just because of the way that he approaches things so radically. But that doesn't mean that he himself is enough of a reason to not be more public about this event that you're trying to put on, the charity that you're actually representing, and who you're trying to do good work. I mean, it's a philanthropic endeavor. There's no world where a corporation does some level of philanthropy and people scrutinize it because it's a bad idea, unless it's probably just a bad idea. Doing some sort of fundraising for Trump or for Kamala or something in between is obviously going to be incredibly divisive and bad for business. So it just seems to me that the way it all comes down to how politicized it is, right? I mean, if you're doing any kind of charity, you're running something for a food bank or something, nobody's going to say anything, right? Because there's no, it's not politicized. There's no political agenda attached to it. But once you attach a political agenda, then that's where the controversy comes in. Correct. And now, whenever we fast forward to your biggest opposition of said event coming out, still supporting your company, you're leveraging his likeness and image, name, likeness, and image all throughout. And to Ephro's point, he's basically saying they didn't shadow ban him. They didn't not cover him throughout the event. They were putting out a lot of pictures of him wearing the kafif. I have it. Kafia. Wearing the kafia, promoting him, just, not putting, and it was just strictly a decision of being on TV. It's well, yeah, okay. That's a valid counter argument, to it being targeted versus Justin, but also it would amplify it more if they had shadow banned him, if they had actively not given him coverage because he was wearing the scarf. like that would amplify the protest even
just like
further.
Just like what's going on at this exact moment with us talking about
exactly
this.
Just what's happening now. So it's like when I say that this is a targeted attack on Justin, I don't mean that there are corporate heads sitting around in a room trying to figure out like, oh, how do we bring this guy to his knees kind of thing. I mean that if the exact same article of clothing was worn by a myriad of other people, it would have never been scrutinized, right? Whether it's somebody from that region who would wear something like this because it's their culture, or whether it was somebody of a lesser name, lesser amplification, that wasn't doing it in obvious protest.
I wonder if he was asked, like, what does this mean?
He tweeted about it. They didn't have to ask, but what you are bringing up is exactly the point. They are inferring context onto the kafia.
Because to give you my thought immediately was what's the kid's name Zach that just won the Prime?
Mm-hmm.
He was playing with a scarf on his head.
Right.
Or something along those lines. And like you can take it as you want in a way.
Well, so that's why I said this is an attack against Bonomo.
Yeah.
And I think that this is abundantly clear. Sure, he was public about why he was wearing it and that it was in support of Palestine.
Okay.
However, not everybody sees that. Not everybody hears his message. And certainly the people who buy the rights to distribute this event somewhere down the line will have no knowledge unless they do their own research of what the scarf around Justin's neck is.
Yeah.
However, when WSOP makes this ruling, they are now inferring the context of it being a political statement and being some level of protest that they're trying to nip in the bud.
They're amplifying it as well, yeah.
Well, of course they're amplifying it too, but the bigger point is that they are actually applying context to something that isn't overt. Mm-hmm. So nothing about that says political protest. It's not a shirt that says Free Palestine.
There's no graphics on it. It's not like...
It's up for interpretation to the audience, and only people who are in the know are even going to have any idea that Justin aligns one way or the other, right? Like I said, it's like me subtly wearing black and gold. If you don't know that I'm from Pittsburgh, it's just an outfit. Mm-hmm. But if you know that I'm a diehard Yinzer, you know that that's an homage to my hometown, right? These things are really important because now whenever you start to scrutinize to this degree, it does become personal, right? This is a Justin thing. This is not a kafia thing. Kafia. God, I have the pronunciation written right there. It's not a kafia thing, right? Like, that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of other people could have been in this situation and they would have never policed it because they don't feel a need to. It's not actually objectively going to be objected upon by the people who would, quote unquote, buy this. Same thing of like, country flags and all these other things that will tie you to a region, tie you to whatever. It's very unlikely that they would police it. But when you're outspoken, like if Mattisau shows up in a MAGA hat, they're probably going to ask him to remove it.
Now they are, yeah, for sure.
Well, even prior to this, they probably still would have because it's Mattisau.
I feel because they've amplified this so much that moving forward, if anyone wears anything even remotely,
of course,
they're going to have to because they felt this much pressure.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And if they don't, then they're making a sweeping statement.
But where's the line get drawn? Right?
It's just it just has to be, and nothing political, nothing religious, or not. Nothing political.
But when it's up for interpretation,
that's what.
Sorry, not religious. Nothing political charged.
You definitely. I was gonna say you definitely can't start to infringe upon people's. Like, look, you're a private company. You could do whatever you want. But like when it's one thing to like start to infringe upon freedom of speech. It's another thing to start to infringe upon freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you ask somebody to take off a crucifix, or you ask somebody to take off the Star of David, you are so far out of bounds now.
Yeah, that's for a lot of problems.
You know what I mean? Because like now, that's all just personal to them. Like, at least in this instance, and I'm not trying to justify, but at least in this instance, this is over a very hot button issue that is a region of the world that's at conflict, right? But when you start to now single out the individuals of that conflict and say like, oh, you align yourself one way or the other, you have to either disalign yourself or be removed. That's really problematic. Yeah. And the last thing, the other false equivalency that I saw getting thrown around a lot that I really think needs to have holes poked in it are all the people saying like, well, where do you draw the line? Do you let them wear a Nazi flag? It's like, this is not that.
Yeah.
Right.
And it needs to be abundantly clear. Like, for everybody who says, like, oh, well, there were good people back in World War II that were wearing the Nazi symbol. It's like, okay, but the Venn diagram of people who wore the Nazi symbol that were bad, murderous people versus good people was very, very, very narrow on the good, right? There was a small number of people who were probably misled. You know what I mean? Right. It's the exact inverse here. This is a cultural thing that's just like very common. Like I said, a bandana in America, a backwards hat. Imagine if I like went to a foreign country and they were like, "Oh, this guy's in a gang. He wears a backwards hat." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
A wife beater. There's so much culture in clothing choice, baggy pants. You know what I mean? Like, and this is something that happens on the regular in America, where specifically African Americans are constantly put into difficult situations because of the way that they culturally represent themselves. People don't like the way that they do their hair, or they don't like the clothing that they're wearing, the urban culture, if you will, right? Like, this is all grounds for termination if you're in a company and you're prejudiced upon these things. And again, I keep circling back. They're a private entity. They can do whatever they want. No one has a problem with them threatening the DQ against Justin based off of the law. We all have a problem based off of how hypocritical it is compared to the other statements that they've made, especially with regards to this issue.
You know what's interesting is, like, what if it would be an issue right now, like say one of their employees wanted to wear it. Right? Now wouldn't that would draw the line, because you have protection, like labor protections, like, right? I'm not exactly sure.
I think that
how
has
that
more
would work,
to do with religion, though, no?
Like freedom of religion.
Well, no matter what, you're right. Like within the, and that's a whole other issue
between being a customer and being an employee.
Correct.
Because Bonomo is a customer of WSOP.
Right.
And that's why they can do it.
Right. And I don't know much about contract law, but I doubt you can write into the contract of like, oh, you're not allowed to express your freedom of religion or nationality or whatever. Maybe, but I highly doubt it. Mm-hmm. But yes, at the consumer level, they can pick and choose their customers as they see fit. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. We have very little say here outside of what's happening right now, which is just a bunch of really smart people in the community kind of saying, this is fucked by one of the biggest names in operations in our space. And the other problem here is, and granted, he hasn't said anything yet, and honestly, hat tip to him for not. And I hope it stays this way. But D-Negs is one of the loudest voices in this community. And he's been very staunchly against Bonomo, number one, but also pro-Israel. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is a chance for him to kind of not double down and not make this worse than it actually is. Because the second he comes out with public statements, that is on behalf of GG and WSOP, whether he wants it to be or not.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the luxury of saying my thoughts are my own any longer. Like, he's been a shill for these companies for so long and gets paid so much money and represents so much of what they embody. Moreover, this article is already out there. We already know that he was the backbone to getting the charity event off the ground. So it's like, he, more so than anybody, needs to either remain neutral or silent.
It would be nice to see it.
Nice to see which?
Neutral and silent.
Neutral or silent, but
both.
What if he said something along the lines of, like, I don't personally agree with Justin, but I think that this was a little too much.
That would be amazing.
I mean, he did the same thing when when you grind a lot on PokerStars, but when they took that away.
Supernova Elite.
When they took away Supernova Elite, I think he was still with PokerStars, and he was pretty open about not agreeing with that. This is sort of on the same lines, right?
He was not open.
You did a podcast. I remember this. He did a podcast with Joey. I remember this. Called Timestamp Browing. You know, he was like very like fuck the pros.
Yeah, you're.
Oh, so he.
Okay,
this is the more rake is better. Bit.
Yeah, exactly. This is the more rake is better.
I thought he was on the Supernova Elite side where he thought.
No, that's why everybody strung him up by his heels. That's when he hit his
I
villain
know the rake
arc.
thing for sure, but Supernova Elite I thought was different.
No, they were one and the same.
They took away Supernova Elite, which means rake went up, which means more rake is better, which means Daniel was saying that the higher the rake is, the better the games are.
More recreationals, less pros. By the way,
which is the GG model.
How is Stars High Stakes doing now? It's dead.
Sad.
It's dead. Yeah, that was when Daniel began his villain arc.
Villain era.
Luckily, Doug was a bigger villain that Daniel couldn't. He could not get out.
Shadow.
He couldn't get out of the shadows of Doug's ego. Doug's ego just like overwhelmed everybody. So like there was a good 4-year period where Daniel was kind of in the basement becoming the Joker, and nobody really saw it because Doug was already the fucking Joker.
So he in this situation, Negreanu is Batman, where you live long enough,
yeah,
to either die here or live long enough to become the villain, and then Doug is just the Joker.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's the Penguin?
has to be Freddie D.
No, don't you talk about my boy Deeb like that?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot more to say. I think I articulated what I want to out of all this, but like also just kind of take inventory. Do your rounds on poker Twitter. It's rare that the top minds all publicly agree with something, especially when a lot of those voices do not agree with Justin. Like even Glance.
Mm-hmm.
Even Glance put a tweet out that took 6 shots at Justin and then supported him in the end.
Right. and this is why it would be great to see Negreanu do something like this.
Agreed.
I don't hold my breath, but I think that because we know that he's so much on the other side. But
which is why I don't think he could ever, in good faith, to like speak out on this. That's why I think silence is
but like
better.
You say, like Glance did.
Yeah.
But he also took 6 shots. Well, as he did it.
Negreanu can't take those shots and be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Right? Like Glance, we just know him to be a Twitter troll, and also he's not representing the company itself.
You don't think it's possible to say, like, look, I personally don't like this guy, differences aside, I think that the WSOP went a little bit too far here. You think that's just not allowed?
No, it's certainly allowed. I don't know how Michael Kim at GG would feel about that. Like, that's ultimately what this boils down to, right? Mm-hmm. And look, like, maybe this is... Two things can still be true simultaneously. This can absolutely be a business decision, and they can still support one of the two sides in this conflict, right? Like this absolutely, they could have potentially made the same decision if, I mean, I find it very hard to believe, but like if Daniel lost his mind, made the final table, and decided to utilize that as the platform to support Israel or Russia or Ukraine or whatever, right? I think what it comes down to though is in these, there's a lot of very charged discussions in the world where it's not clear heavily one way or the other, the way society as a whole falls. So like, even though I know in America the pro-choice versus pro-life, the plurality is towards pro-choice. Worldwide, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think it's probably much more of a divisive 50-50 issue. And I think that also fuels a lot of, even locally here in America, the both sidesing of things. I think that's true of like the conflict in the Middle East. I think that's true of a lot of areas. When you look at like the Ukraine-Russian situation, I think for the little bit of knowledge that we all have, if any at all, it's very clear that Ukraine's been kind of portrayed as the one being bullied here. Right. So it's easy.
They were the one attacked.
Right. So it's very easy to see somebody stand up and support Ukraine in a public manner and not say, whoa, we don't want any of that here.
Yeah.
Because most of the world seems to just be on the side of Ukraine.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you're saying about like wearing a Nazi flag or something, right? Because it was so clear that there was a good and evil, right, battle that was there, and the Nazis were very, very evil, and the entire world has come to that consensus for the most part. Right. So obviously and also, that's a different situation.
Also to that end, it was a clear representation of a specific movement in Germany during wartime.
Right.
The Kafia.
You're gonna say kafafe pretty soon.
I almost did.
You should just have it on
Shout
audio.
out to Trump's tweet.
Now that's in my head. Yeah, I should. So
we never get to the bottom of kafafe. We never figured out what that meant.
He just stroked out. So the Kafia is not that. it has a certain subsection where that's associated to it because Taliban wear them, because terrorists are seen wearing them. But that's not the origin of it.
Right.
And that's not the overwhelming use of it. Right. And that to me is like the big miss here when people try to use logical fallacies to disprove a pretty agnostic point. Like, I'm very agnostic in the sides here. I would have been just as much in an uproar had they told somebody to take off a yarmulke, or maybe even more so because, you know, kind of as Efro mentioned,
it's religious.
That's personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you know, if they asked me to take off my pirate hat, for instance, it's like, fuck you, man. You know, like, let me live. And the thing is that there's a strong chance that had they and I didn't watch the stream, I don't know what happened, but if I'm Bonomo, I wouldn't have shut up. I would have just spoken out in protest the entire time.
Because like while he's in the middle of a hand?
Well,
middle of a hand, out of a hand, during a hand, I don't give a shit.
He was obviously warned about something like that, I would assume.
What are they going to do?
Disqualify him the same way that
I don't know that that's in the bylaws.
The bylaws are they could do whatever the fuck they want.
I mean,
and you know,
perhaps.
Like, I would assume that he was told.
Oh yeah, man, I forgot about this. Do you guys remember when Joe Sirach made the final table of the main event and he wore? Oh, it was this last year. He wore a shirt that said "Eat the cis."
Yeah.
It said what?
Eat the cis. Like cisgender males. Yeah, I just think like it's the inconsistency for me, man. Like, poker's a very special space where the people who have made it are very aware that they're part of the survivorship bias, but they're also a curated group that are largely pre-selected for intellect, for high rationale, for logic-based thinking, and critical thinking. And it's like when you spit in the face of that time and time and time again, and then keep asking us to show up in droves and pay rake hand over fist, it's tricky, man. You know, the irony of the GG patch. Man, it's just so good. Oh, man, it's so good.
I mean, he's a legend, bro.
It's just so good. You can't make this shit up, you know? But yeah, I would say, like, that's the other thing. Efro points out something very clear here. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a Bonomo ban. Which, big picture, man, zoom way out. How fucking crazy.
But he complied. But he complied, right? Didn't he take it off?
He complied, but he's still a problem, and they have no reason to serve him. They have no reason to allow him to play their game.
Imagine Jake and Ali are playing, and then Bonomo's banned.
Jake and Ali just out there slinging it in high rollers at the World Series every year, but the pink-haired guy who has a lot of fucking opinions and is really loud about them, we got to get him out.
I think it'd be too much backlash.
That's wild.
I think it'd be too much backlash.
Is it?
But what changes? No one, like,
Joe from Montana and Farmer Bob are still showing up every summer.
True.
And that's all they care about.
Farmer Bob.
You know, like,
shout out to all the farmers out there named Bob.
I got a DM the other day, like, why did it have to be a random guy in Wisconsin? Why couldn't it be a random guy in Pittsburgh? Like, they're any different. It's like, well, I'm fucking from Pittsburgh, man. No, but yeah, it's an interesting slippery slope that we're going down in general with companies wanting to kind of, you know, here's the other aspect of it. I'm going to kind of fall into a little bit of a tangent, but so much clamoring has been made post Black Friday, post all of the free money where the characters were built, the TV stars as we know them today. There's been so much clamoring of like, oh, we need the next generation to be able to accept the torch. And the problem is they're all online nerds and none of them have any personality. None of them have any opinions. None of them stand for anything. They just show up and play like robots. It's like, well, this is what you get.
Yeah.
This is one of the most outspoken individuals you're going to come across. And also, it's not like he's spouting total and utter nonsense. He's very well educated on his side, albeit it might be heavily biased, albeit he might not two sides all of the arguments. But I do actually think, for all of his weaknesses, Bonomo largely is a good faith actor whenever he presents a lot of this stuff. You know, he's just very radical and extreme in the way that he does it, and that's off-putting. But from his vantage point, that creates change. And maybe it does. Who knows? I'm not trying to make him out to be the fucking Jackie Robinson of poker. But like, by banning a fucking scarf, you start to put him into that you know what I mean? You start to funnel him now into this activist category where it's like him versus them. Mm-hmm. And that's like so silly.
Next, they're going to come for Lewis the Scarf.
That's the other hilarious thing to me, bro. Like prior to them asking him to take this off, there's a picture of Volgasang floating around at the feature table where he's fucking like earthwormed up, and you can only see his eyes. You know what I mean? Like it's up to here, completely
You can't
covered.
see his eyes. He's got glasses on, bro.
Yeah,
that's right. You're absolutely right. He did have sunglasses on. He looked like you remember Beaker from the Muppet Babies? Like if you covered Beaker's mouth and put him on put sunglasses on, like that was it.
I was thinking Frozone.
He does have similar hair to Beaker.
Yeah. It's just it's man, it's all weird to me. And the thing is, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm not skilled enough in this arena to start talking the crossover between poker and politics. I'm fucking out.
I'm fucking out.
I had to sit through an entire election cycle of like 8 super giga wealthy Republicans telling me why I'm an idiot because I think both sides suck. Like, okay, yeah, you're making a strong case for why one side will line my pockets better than the other. But like, stop calling me a libtard.
It's true.
That's not the best way to breach it. God
Bolt.
damn it, Pip.
It's Bolt.
Oh, that was Pip. She was circling the wagon.
You're a liberal cockburk, not a libtard. Maybe it's one and the same.
Well, I don't
Take
understand.
Berkey to the zoo.
I don't understand that. I don't understand the usage of cuck either. Like, am I watching somebody get banged?
It's just an insult, man.
It's basically saying you're not a man.
No, I get.
It's a way to take away your manhood.
He gets it, but like, why do you use these words?
Well, I just want.
He wants to know the parallel.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see the clear analogy here. It's like, okay, you're
because
there's many ways to call
very specific.
Yeah, there's many ways to call me effeminate. Why do I have to watch a girl that I'm not even like a figurative girl that it doesn't even exist get banged by some other dude?
Okay, so I don't think you understand the definition of cuck.
Cuckolding is watching your wife get banged.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you do understand the definition.
I thought I explained it pretty eloquently without actually saying it.
It sounded the way you said it. The way you said it, it sounded like you were just watching people.
Well, because I'm not dating anyone or married, so you're already attributing something to me that I didn't want, and now I have to watch her get banged by another dude.
Yeah, but if you were though,
right.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a cuck for getting married. How about that? I'm off limits, baby. Untouchable.
Yep. Uncuckable.
Yeah, I'm uncuckable. 2/3 of this equation doesn't even exist. It's just me. It's just me holding the camera for someone else.
Wait, so you're saying this does happen?
They call me Steady Eddie.
Okay.
Literally people
I told you the jokes were
lore.
going to fly,
Great
man.
spot to wrap here.
I told
Little
you
do
the
people
jokes
know
were
the
gonna fly.
lore of this office.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Have we ever told that story on air?
I'm sure we have.
We only have 670 episodes.
650. Today is a milestone episode.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Congratulations, everybody. You made it. For anybody who doesn't know the lore of this office, I'll tell this story really quickly. I'm sure I've told it before, but we moved in and we were like, this place is perfect. It's the best production residential area I could imagine. It has like rafters for ceilings, like easy to hang lights from,
Wide open space.
wide open floor plan, like ton of area to film.
You don't have to worry about sound bouncing off the
Yeah,
walls.
the sound is really great. Concrete walls were just like tons. Fantastic place to film. It just kept like repeating that, like place to film. And then
You're like, this place looks familiar.
and then our friend, who will go unmentioned as to not embarrass him, within minutes had 5 scenes from Naughty America pulled up. One of which is a girl getting banged on our kitchen counter. Another one's a girl trapped in our dryer in the garage. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it. So this was a porn house for like 5 years before we moved in.
Wasn't it? You're missing the best part.
Where someone came to the door.
So we had a Poker Out Loud stream coming on. And we were like setting up for the day or whatever.
Fitting name.
And I get a knock on the door. I'm like, oh, I thought everyone was here, but okay. I open the door and it's just some dude, like 23, bleach blonde hair, wearing fucking board shorts. Looks
not
like
me.
Looks like he fell right out of a Hollister, from the mall. I was like, "Can I help you?" He's like, "I'm here for the gangbang." I'm like, "I'm sorry, the what?" And he goes, "I'm here for the Naughty America shoot." I go, "Buddy, I think you got the wrong address." And he's like, repeats our address. I'm like, "That's it." And he's like, "I was told to come here." I was like, "I don't think they've done that here for years." We're a poker business, baby.
That's right.
Meanwhile, like behind me, there's like a full camera crew,
right?
A bunch of dudes, like lights on. A clear scene is being set.
Maybe
The girls
you
never
were being
came.
stingy
The
or
girls
something.
never came.
The girls never came. Are you the fluffer?
You're still missing the best part.
Go on.
That said person knew one of the girls.
Oh, that's right. She lived in this complex. She
Too fucking good.
See, the thing was, they didn't. Actually, they probably needed it more, but they didn't. They weren't looking ahead. This wasn't necessary anymore because OnlyFans became such a thing in COVID.
Yeah,
the whole porn industry got rocked. Remember when OnlyFans didn't allow porn for a day?
Yeah,
it was like one day.
It was
literally like
24 hours. They realized that they don't have a platform without that.
Yeah, they're like,
I thought we had comedians telling jokes on here. What the fuck? You guys don't want to follow your favorite athletes?
At least they correct the course very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yes.
Very quick. I imagine
business decision on their
I imagine they lost like 99% of their revenue in 24 hours.
Yeah, like,
oh shit.
Yeah, let's get that
We are Pornhub. Who knew?
And now they're so back.
They're so back. WSOP's back too. All right, we are going to get out of here. We'll have a winner of this 25K super main event tomorrow. Good luck to Liv Brie, should she still be in. Good luck to the mustache Mustafa, as well as our Brazilian satellite winner and the GOAT of all time, Adamo. We'll check back tomorrow as there will be a winner. We'll also have the final table, I believe, or maybe the final two tables set for the WPT. So we'll check in on that tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining us. Let us know in the comments below how you feel about headwear and scarves.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of comments.
Being worn. Oh, man. Unhinged. Keep them hinged. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.